Today's Gospel is one of those passages that can leave us scratching our head in bewilderment, with all of its talk about Jonah and Solomon and the Queen of the South. But once you actually understand what's going on here, it's really pretty straightforward. You see, in the Old Testament, there are certain figures and events which prefigure, which point us towards the coming Messiah, Jesus. And Jonah and Solomon are two of these figures. You see, Jonah and Solomon have one very important thing in common. They both took the good news and they preached it to the Gentiles, to the non-Jewish people. Solomon preached it to the Queen of Sheba, the Queen of the South, and Jonah preached it to the Assyrians at Nineveh. In this way, they are both prefiguring Jesus, who will also preach the good news to the Gentiles, to the non-Jewish people. It's because of Jesus, his ministry here on earth, his life, his death, and his resurrection, that the covenant with God is now opened up for all of us. It's not just something between God and his chosen race, the Jewish people. It is now between God, or accessible to all of us. There is now a relationship that we can enter into. St. Paul tells us we can become adopted sons and daughters of God through the ministry of Jesus Christ. The other way in which Jonah in particular prefigures Christ is the fact that Jonah is swallowed up by a big fish for 3 days before he is spewed forth from its mouth. Well, Jesus will also be swallowed up for 3 days, except this time it won't be a giant fish. It will be death itself that consumes Jesus. But 3 days later, Jesus will rise from the grave. He will be spewed forth from the mouth of death itself. His death and resurrection has overcome the very powers of sin and hell and death. And in that way, Jonah is present amongst us in a new and profound and much greater way than he was when he began his ministry on earth in the Old Testament and pointed us towards the coming Messiah. Today's saint quote of the day comes from Saint Faustian, and she says this: "Let our judgment of souls cease, for God's mercy upon them is extraordinary." The reason I've chosen this quote is because I think it really speaks to the heart of one particular aspect of the story of Jonah at Nineveh. You see, Jonah didn't actually want mercy for the people of Nineveh, he wanted judgment. One of the things he was really petrified about in going to Nineveh was that they were going to repent before he had a chance to get there and actually pronounce God's judgment upon them. But God had other plans. He looked at them with great mercy and love. And the same is true for every single one of us and for the people around us. So today, if you're looking at others and you have got nothing but judgment and condemnation for them, remember that quote. God has mercy and love for those people, despite the wrongdoings that they might be committing. He also has profound mercy and love for each and every one of us, no matter what wrongdoing or sin we think makes us irreconcilable with God. And today is a good day to open up our hearts and come back into that fullness of relationship with Him, because His love and His mercy for us has not and will not cease.